And we are live.
We're live for
Hello,
Friday the
hello.
13th, the most unlucky day.
The most romantic day of them all.
The most romantic day before Valentine's Day.
If there's one thing I know about horror movies, is that it's all about love
Yeah.
and being punished for it.
Well, actually, we will be talking about genre blends involving romance, such as paranormal romance, shortly, because we have a very special itinerary today for this live stream. But before we get into what's going on in the live stream, let's all say hello. I'll start the intro this time. I never get to.
It sounds like you're about to go in for it.
Hello, welcome to Story Engine Livestream. If you had not heard of the Story Engine before, the Story Engine, we publish decks of writing and storytelling prompts for all kinds of writers, world builders, and folks. My name is Peter Czukowski. I designed the Story Engine deck of Worlds and Lore Masters deck, in conjunction with a really fabulous team of talented people. And you'll get to actually meet one of our special consultants today, but we'll get into that shortly. Who else is on our team, to my whatever side I'm supposed to
So you understand how it's like now when you go into the screen. Well,
it's a tough one.
Douche.
I guess I'm next in line. My name is Eric. I'm the community manager for the Story Engine deck, and I also do some of the creative work, including working on this deck in particular. So, yeah, I'm very excited to show it off. I think it's a very good expansion.
Yes. And I'm Hiroki. I'm the CEO of the Story Engine. I keep the proverbial cogs going in the engine. I shovel coals into our little fireplace that keeps our engine going. And, you know, in the spirit of today's live stream, since we're talking about our romance expansion, long and waited, look at these flowers that Eric got me, because Eric is actually my spouse also in real life. We're not just pretend work spouses, we're real life spouses. And this is what you're supposed to do for your spouse if you love them very much, like buy them flowers. So I feel like it's thematically correct for today's live stream, hence why they are on display. We are super excited. I think this has been long awaited. Of course, if you joined us on last week's live stream, we have officially launched pre-orders for our brand new Character Dynamics expansion set. So 3 new expansions, like my hands off screen, 3 new expansions, long awaited. I know you folks have been asking for it for a long time. It's open on our store now. It's storyenginedeck.com/new. And last week we talked about the character questions expansion. So if you want to watch the replay of that, we actually walk you through a tutorial on how to use it, so on and so forth. And of course, if you pre-order our new expansions right now, you get exclusive access to the PDF of our alpha deck as well. So you're going to get a chance to see it before everyone else. So if that's any reason for you to pre-order, that's the reason. And today we're going to be doing all things romance.
Aww.
Do you want to talk about that?
I don't know. Do I?
Yes, you do. Yes, you want to talk about? Do I want to talk about it?
No, like this is the romance expansion. It is the most requested expansion we've ever had. I think even as long as we've been doing these live streams, which is a couple years now, which actually feels a little bit wild to say in its own right, it's been kind of like, when are you guys going to do a romance expansion? And our answer has always been, well, it's a great idea and we'd love to when we get the chance. And now eventually is finally here. We didn't get the chance, we made the chance. And now it has turned out to be everything we could have hoped for, I think. But yeah, it is like, in some ways it's kind of like fulfilling a promise that we made a long time ago to all of you, to say that we are going to do this deck. This is the next genre that really is missing from the system and that we have to add and get done. Yeah.
And this was also probably the one that at first I dragged my heels on the most. And there's a few reasons for that. I'm just going to briefly get into this and sort of why it took us so long. It's my fault, to be very clear, my fault. Part of it is that I didn't understand the romance genre and I didn't want to wade into something I didn't understand and do a bad job. And part of it was this holdup where I was thinking about how for romance, so much of it is powered by the engines and the conflicts. If you know our card system, engines are motivation, conflicts are obstacles to overcome. And so much of romance is about the situational, right? What does this person want from the other person and what is the obstacle to getting it? You can remix that 1,000 different ways and it still feels like romance, and that's really interesting. But I was so hung up on like, what do we do for aspects? What do we do for anchors? What do we do for agents? What are the character types that feel central to romance, no matter what genre you're mixing with, no matter what format it comes in? Huge mental block. I was really stuck on this. And then I remembered that I'm good friends with a USA Today best-selling romance author who just finished writing her 40th book. Literally this week, her 40th book.
That's a lot of books.
Which is
man.
like incredible.
I don't even have one.
Yeah. I just huge achievement, and I realized like I have this amazing, incredibly smart, very talented writer friend who knows romance really well, and also who understands the story engine deck system, so who can think about how to take all of her amazing knowledge about what makes story work, what makes genre work, and apply it to the format of our deck. And so she's going to be our very special guest today. What we're going to be doing is basically bringing her up to do a little interview, share some advice about writing. You will have a chance to share your own questions for Maggie, and then we'll actually do a demo live with the deck with her, talking about different interesting creative choices. Part of this demo will be a little bit different from our usual live streams because we won't be taking votes. We're going to be doing it as a demo so that people who are thinking about pre-ordering can see how the expansion works. But then we'll get into that usual awesome, fun, playful, collaborative thing where we send it over to the chat to vote. You get to collaborate with us on prompts, and it'll be the usual thing. And then we'll wrap on up. So I'm really excited for that today. So yeah. I think, without further ado, I might introduce our very special guest. So Maggie K. Black is a USA Today best-selling Harlequin author. Her suspenseful and inspirational romance novels have sold over 1 million copies worldwide. And this week she celebrates writing her 40th book, which is an absolutely huge achievement. So everybody, please join me in welcoming Maggie K. Black. I'm going to change our view here so that we can all be on the screen.
Yay! Yeah. Welcome.
Oh, I forgot that we had you muted backstage, and now you are still muted. Hold on. You need to unmute yourself. Sorry, I can't do it from my end. This is entirely my fault.
Taking away the power. Now the power's given back. There is a microphone.
See the microphone?
We got it.
Yay! Okay, I'm good. I was worried there. I thought I was going to be muted for the whole thing. I have 2 more 13s that are important to add to our Friday the 13th.
Okay.
Because I just did some quick looking it up. It was 13 years ago, in 2013, when I walked up to Peter at Toronto Comic-Con, and I was nervous, and I had sold 0 copies of Harlequins, and I started talking to Peter. And I love telling stories like that because, you know, in life we meet people and we talk to people, and it took 13 years for us to actually like do a big collaboration.
Yeah.
You know, and it just, and sometimes in life, you know, you start something and you're like, I mean, I had no idea 13 years ago that you were going to create this amazing thing, the story deck, which I absolutely love, the story engine, or that I was ever going to sell 1 million books, or that any of this was going to happen.
Oh, that is
so
wild.
If there's anyone there who's like, things are
wild.
not working out for you, just wait 13 years.
Yeah. Exactly.
and do lots of work.
Yeah. I'm sure those 40 books just kind of flowed out of you. Like so easy. There was no struggle whatsoever.
We actually have a whole video about that.
Yeah.
We should send Maggie that video actually afterwards. I think you might get a kick out of it.
Yeah. To briefly explain, talk about the video concept that you put together.
So we met Brandon Sanderson at Dragonsteel a couple of years ago. A year basically, and you know there's always this thing where they talk about he's always writing, things just come out of him, and
magically.
And we were making a joke about that, about like, well, how does this apply to the story engine? So we created this character that Peter plays, actually, which is why I think you'll get a big kick out of it, where he's just like, I'm so brilliant. I just have 7-figure deals rolling in my lap, and I'm just so wonderful. It's so hard being so amazing. Anyways, I think you'll get a kick out of that. But, you know, as the saying goes, they say 5 years to an overnight success, right? 5 years, 10 years to an overnight success. Yeah. Well, we're Yes, please go for it.
Oh, no, I was going to say, whenever I'm watching any kind of reality show and they're like, this person has no experience and they just are a janitor and they're an overnight success, I always, you know, go to the Google machine and I'm like, no, they've been doing the work for a long time. Don't let the hype, don't let the hype fool you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm super excited to ask you all the romance questions. I actually got my start in romance by definitely sneaky deekly borrowing Harlequins out of the library when I was 12 or 13 and wrapping the books in a brown paper and taking them to school so I could read them at lunchtime. So Harlequins have a really special place in my heart. I think I need to definitely procure a bunch of yours to read after this. And I think we're really excited to talk about your expertise in romance. As in the romance expansions has been one of our most asked for expansions by our users of the Story Engine for a very long time. And so we're super excited to bring your expertise to the table, because and of course, if chat, you guys have questions too. This is the one thing I forgot to say right at the beginning. If you have questions for us, if you have questions for Maggie, please, of course, drop them into the chat, and we will bring them up over the course of the live stream as well. And of course, lots and lots of folks are coming to say hi as well. So I'm sure you guys would love to bring your burning questions, your sizzling questions to the table. But I will kick things off. I have a lot of questions, and I'm going to try to streamline them to the best of my ability. Because I think one of the big ones about the idea of romance is, and I think you've spoken it before, especially when collaborating with Peter and Eric, is the promise of the premise and how that's really, really important in romance. And romance is this genre that's powered by readers' expectations.
Yeah.
So what advice would you have for writers who want to write romance, for whether it's a publisher or a label, like yourself, where there is maybe some requirements that they have, or for a reader?
One of the things that I love is going to writers' conferences and watching as many videos and reading as many books as I can on how to write. So I wish I could remember who first taught me the promise of the premise. But it's the idea that, when you pick up a book, you have an unconscious hope of what you hope is going to be in that book. And so from a storytelling perspective, when I'm writing a book, I'll often ask people, I'm writing a book about a train robbery. What do you hope to see? And then let people tell me, what their hopes and their dreams about what that kind of book would be. In my experience, publishers are really, and editors can be, and agents can be really good at letting people know what they're looking for. That doesn't always mean you want to write what they're looking for, and it doesn't always mean they're right in what they want. But for example, with Harlequin, they have guidelines that you can go to, and the guidelines are changing constantly. And I think if you just Google, don't do it now, but Google Harlequin guidelines, and it'll give you a list of what they're looking for. Harlequin has a Write for Harlequin newsletter that will tell them what they're looking for. And when I say what they're looking for, it's often types of characters, types of books, types of stories. And that's where brainstorming and something like your tool is so amazing. Because I remember sitting in a workshop once, and a publisher was there, and they're like, okay, what we really want is romance, military, amnesia, and Amish. And I was like, okay, how do I take all those ideas and put them together in one book? Which I did, which was fun. But just like you or just like I flip over the cards in this deck, which is something that I do, and look at ideas and think of how do I incorporate them. At the same time, if I hear an agent or a publisher say, we are really looking for, one of the things I've heard is really big right now is dark academia. So I heard a publisher say, we're looking for dark academia. And I'm like, okay, how do I treat that as one of the cards in the deck and figure out how to work that into a story?
Making notes for future boosters.
Right? I'm starting to hear all that. And I like that you talk about the requirements by Harlequin as well. And I don't know if in one of the development processes, I can't remember if we mentioned this last week, but one of the things we had to do when working on, the romance expansion that we definitely consulted your expertise on, and I'm sure Peter, you can speak to a bit more, was how at points you had to kind of look at certain prompts that were in the cards and say, well, does this pass the standards, according to Harlequin, of whether this may be edging into the mature age category as opposed to still being an all ages friendly expansion.
Yeah, this was something that I learned about the romance genre that I didn't know before. Is just how granular it gets with some of the promise of the cover even.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I'll say that about this expansion, this is the most intentional and genre aware we have been while developing the expansion. I think
Yeah.
that because for like fantasy, sci-fi, horror, I spent a lot of time living in those genres, so I didn't have to think
Yeah.
as hard about like what is the heart of the genre, what do you absolutely have to have. It was instinctive. I'm very proud of those expansions, but I didn't have to do the same. We didn't have to do the same like creating a library of really essential
Yeah.
tropes, beats, character archetypes, settings, and really think about like what is absolutely essential. Like I've never had so many cuts that we had to make, where we had so much
Yeah.
good material, so much A+ material that we were like cutting A's. We were like cutting gold for platinum. Like I've never had,
Yeah.
I've never felt like we had such a bounty of good stuff and been more heartbroken or conflicted about like we can't keep these ones in.
So many boosters suddenly coming out of the woodwork. Lots of questions coming in already. So I want to bring one since maybe I'll go back and forth between some of the ones we have and some of the ones the audience have. We have this one from Tara saying, I struggle writing any sort of romance. It just feels forced. Do you have any advice on how I can make it better?
If I love this question. And I don't know if Tara means it from an emotional standpoint or physical standpoint. Because some people like if we keep romance as in like physical intimacy, but quickly for physical intimacy, it is amazing the number of things where you can have physical intimacy that's not just kiss and sex, but but I mean, brushing fingers, tapping someone on the shoulder. I mean, there's the cliche of people's fingers touching when they both reach for the same coffee, but there are lots of different creative ways that you can work in different types of physical touch and intimacy. But if you mean it from an emotional standpoint, the most important thing is that the characters have a emotional need. They have an emotional wound. They have something about them that needs to be fixed in order for them to be their best selves and live their best lives. And they find that in the other person. Maybe they find in the other person courage they didn't know they had. Maybe they find someone who believes in them that they didn't know they had. Maybe they see someone who cuts through their BS in a way they never knew that they needed. But that people, when a romance feels right and feels good and clicks for me, there is something that both characters need in order to be their best selves that they're getting from each other. There might also be something that makes them their worst selves that they're getting from each other. But it goes to the emotion and it goes to that depth, as opposed to just physical intimacy.
I'm gonna say really quickly, if you want to scrub the timeline of this interview later and know when Maggie is dropping like wisdom bombs, when she closes her eyes because she's in like deep processing thinking about how to articulate these big thoughts, you know that is wisdom bomb moment. Like I bet you if you go back to the like highlight spikes of like the moments where people need to rewatch.
Yeah, I think if you do the time stamping later on, Peter, you should just say wisdom bomb 1, wisdom bomb 2. Yeah. I think that would be great. Yeah. And you know,
I don't want to lose the words.
And, you know, we're talking about like character motivations and engines. It's like if only we had like an expansion or deck that could possibly create some character motivations and conflict that could possibly bring people together or drive them apart. Tara, I would be super fascinated to hear what you like, your feedback once you get your hands on the romance expansion, to see whether this particular expansion helps maybe carve out some of those motivations or needs or wants that these characters are looking for. Maggie, so, you know, everyone's so excited about this romance expansion. Everyone's been asking for it. It's one of those genres that I think will withstand the test of time forever and ever and ever. Like, why do you think people keep coming back to it? Why do we all want to read romance in some way, shape, or form?
I think that, and now I'm going to be so self-conscious of when I close my eyes.
Sorry.
It's the ADHD. I don't want to be distracted by everything.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm like, oh, look, there are flowers. I think that what people really connect to is that emotional core. That people connect to the idea of like romances that transcend time. And there's a new version of Wuthering Heights out, or things like, you know, Jane Eyre, that the human experience and is timeless, and there is no genre that goes deep on the human experience the way romance is. I mean, romance really goes, if it's done right, It goes to what people need emotionally. And I write, so if you think of romance like chicken wings, we have like the sweet all the way through to the extra spicy. And I happen to write the sweet, but I read everything, and I have read some, downright spicy, dirty books. But what makes them, and what makes them work is the emotional core, that people are getting what they need emotionally, through that relationship and through each other. And it's the only genre that really digs deep into a lot of human emotion, human need. And so it is especially popular with people who might be, in sitting in a hospital or on a flight, or sometime where they need that sense of comfort and emotional connection. It's like an emotional hug. If you watch horror because you want to be scared, you read romance because you want to feel emotionally connected to the world.
And perhaps like love is that deep desire that all of us seek in some ways as a human being. And whether you already are in a relationship or or looking for one, it allows you to kind of feel that bond and connection, or if nothing else, like validate it for you a little bit as well. And it was interesting because very recently I had the privilege to interview CL Clark, who's another friend of the Story Engine. And it was, one of the big conversations we had talked about in that is queer relationships and seeing more of that, and queer spicy relationships too, right? And the desire to see more of that in the world, because when you are young and you don't have those points, it's really hard for you to formulate your sense of community and identity. So to see that kind of being published in the world is really wonderful, and where we're going.
And for some people, that's their only model of a healthy relationship. I mean, there are people who grew up in unhealthy families, who've never had a healthy physical or sexual or emotional relationship. And romance is where they see that modeled, and they see this is possible, this is real, this is what I should look for, this is what I shouldn't look for. So for me, it's really important that whenever a character is a little bit out of line, that someone calls them on it and says, that's not how we treat people. Because
I actually love that. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's okay. I'm just happy that you loved it. But yeah, for me, it is it's a response. Sorry, I take it so seriously, but I love it. It's a responsibility because, so many people. So the reason I started writing for Harlequin is I wanted to write books for a living. I tried to make it through independent YA. I couldn't make it through independent YA, and I knew that Harlequin would give me a shot, and I wanted a shot, and it gave me a way to make a living. And then I will hopefully try to write other things in future, and I still try to write other things. But I love that they're very supportive and very caring, and they take really good care of their authors. And they have a whole department who take care of their authors. Though I was going somewhere, and then this is why I got to close my eyes. Otherwise, I forget where I was going to go.
We welcome the eye closing. Yeah. Remember, they'll help Peter timestamp the wisdom bomb.
But the reason that. So the reason that things like Harlequin can be so important for people is, and so many people who love romance have their stories. For me, it was a friend of my aunt who had been invited to the cottage, and she left a couple of Harlequins behind, and I found them down beside the bed, and I knew I wasn't allowed to read them. But it was, for a lot of people, that's their first idea of what romance can be, of what love can be, of what intimacy can be. For a lot of people, that it is where they learn what a healthy relationship, and for a lot of people, see queer relationships reflected. And it is just so wonderful that we are able to create this, make the world a better. I know it sounds so cheesy, but I do think we're making the world a better place. I think you're making the world a better place.
I love how much care and passion you have for this, because I think as writers, we fundamentally have some responsibility in sharing our ideal vision of the world and how we want the world to change. And that while literature and writing and fiction can feel like some sort of escapism, I think it also, you learn a lot from the content you read. I actually had I had a debate with someone about this. I don't want to get too off topic, but the way I connect with it is, I remember when the new Star Wars movies was coming out, 7, 8, 9. Criticize what you may about the storyline, but I know one of the big criticisms was the introduction of characters of different ethnicities, right? There was like a lot more Asian characters, a lot more Black characters, and some people gone to work. And I even had someone say to me, well, if you look at the combination of actors in this movie, but it's not truly representative of how many minorities exist in like the States or something, you know, I think that's what they were trying to argue, that statistically it was imbalanced. And I said, however, you know, there is when you are an authority, media being authority, when film is an authority and it's educating the world, especially to people who live in geographics that may never let them expose, where they may never be exposed to an Asian person or never be exposed to a Black person. It's imperative that you have good media that shows them represented properly, so that that's the way, because that's going to educate them and be the point of authority of how they experience someone, which then can influence how they experience them in the real world someday. So I think we have a responsibility for that. So I value a lot what you're saying there, Maggie, about, you know, that kind of being similar to the romantic or, you know, the emotional connection experience. This question here from Edward Elric. Yes, sorry, this is my eyesight where I just don't see the screen as well. New love and first feelings tend to be more popular, but how would I make the day-to-day or small things more impactful?
I love that question, partly because I don't automatically have a brilliant answer to it. It's just an amazing question. And so, sorry, I gravitate to questions that make me think. Do you have a thought?
One thing I will say is actually the relationships expansion that we're debuting next week is actually really focused on how to take a relationship status quo and then escalate something interesting out of a conflict out of that. So I'd be really curious to the way that I would brainstorm ways to make an existing relationship interesting, or like a day-to-day relationship interesting. With that tool would be to lock the engine, so which is the actual status quo part of the relationship. So we're going to say that like these two people are domestic partners because we know that about them, and then draw some conflicts to see how do these conflicts, which are designed to escalate existing relationships, escalate it. And without giving away next week's demo, you can find some really interesting things about like what if there's suddenly a new chemistry that starts to evolve? What if a third person gets involved? What if suddenly one of them is crossing a line that the other can't follow them crossing? These are all really interesting ways to shake up an existing dynamic. So specifically, only because I've been in the middle of like working on this for 3 weeks, I'm going to give that narrow answer of like we have a tool for that. But generally speaking, I'd say look at the day to day, and then look at what would either put stress on it or force what they already have or what they already mean to each other to be put to the test. So that stress doesn't have to be like break them up or like do bad things to them, but it can be like what would make them have to prove their love for each other or give them the opportunity to prove their love for each other.
I think there's also figuring out how their routines and their everyday things are core to who they are. So like to jump a little bit ahead, like the word perfectionist shows up in the romance deck, and it's like that very type A personality. And it's like in terms of like, oh, it's like distinct morning routine, like all of these like very daily things. And all of a sudden the free spirit, wild child, whatever, all of a sudden throws that into chaos. It's like the tension comes from like, for somebody who likes to have control, any kind of disruption becomes like very meaningful. And that's like, it's not so much the specifics of their routine that are impactful, but it's what it means to them and what it signifies for them in the relationship. And it's like, so it's like you can kind of take it with anything, but it's like, why is that important to them in the first place? And that's what you actually really want to get into to make it impactful.
I was going to say the exact same thing. You're right on the money, because I'm looking at the word impactful. It's what does this mean and what does this tell you about a person? If I'm looking at my history, one of the most quote unquote romantic stories that I tell is about a tire going flat and then someone getting out and changing the tire. But that for me is communication and trust and honesty. And for the person who changed the tire, if they grew up in the kind of family where if anything went wrong, they were being nitpicked or criticized, and then having someone sitting there listening to them and being supportive, that can be really, really significant. In the book I just finished, we end with a Christmas meal, and everybody brought their leftovers in the Tupperware containers. And just the idea of we're all bringing our Tupperware containers, And this character who felt like she had to do everything herself, now when she's doing a Christmas meal, is having people bring food. Something that simple can be a sign of that deeper emotional thing that's going on inside. So when you're saying, day-to-day mundane things, what did the day-to-day mundane things say about what we need to fix, what we need to change, what maybe the rut that we're stuck in? Like you said about having that free spirit coming in. See, my brain is always brainstorming. That's why I love you guys. You've got a character who's a baker, and then the new baker comes in, and the new baker is like a free spirit. They may be making the cake all wrong, and the dishes are all stacked wrong. And then suddenly the mundane issue of doing the dishes becomes deeply impactful. I'll tell you once that I was working on a book, and I was really, really stuck because I knew the story, but I didn't understand the emotional core. And that's when I got out the original story engine deck, and I went looking for that agent, and then knowing who that agent was then brought the entire story into focus.
Disclaimer, we do not pay Maggie to say nice things about the story.
13 years.
we're thrilled that you
deck. I use it and I recommend it, and I've used the deck because it's a great resource.
Yeah, no, that's actually, it always warms our heart when we hear people like genuinely, benefit, especially, like our own collaborators saying they actually, that you find benefit from it too. It's one of those things where, I don't know, the small children inside of us always want to be told we're doing a good thing once in a while. So no, like I deeply appreciate that. And that was meant to be a little bit of a joke. It's the thing about the mundane things, to your question, Edward, too, if you would like, one of who I think is really brilliant at the mundane and making it feel emotional and rooted is Miyazaki films.
Yeah.
Like I love watching Miyazaki's films because, My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service, Whispers of the Heart is actually one of my favorites, one for this like very understated romantic relationship, because it's literally just about the life of people. Like that's fundamentally most of their movies. Yes, there's a witch, but that's why like Whispers of the Heart is literally just two people. None of them have extraordinary abilities. There's no magic creatures. There's no giant, fluffy, adorable Thor spirit coming. It's just life. And there's just some deep grounding in how he captures the like poignancy of that stillness and that everyday that I think is so wonderful. So I think lots of good and thoughtful food for thought about this, and I hope we answered your question, Edward, a little bit with regards to that. I think we answered this a little bit, but maybe just to put like a really strong point of it, what sort of misconceptions do you often see about the romance genres from writers and readers alike?
Yeah, I was at a writing conference once, and somebody came up to me who didn't know me and said really derogatory things about the romance genre. There's this misconception that it can be a genre that if you don't read it and you don't love it, literally, I'm a published author, and someone came up to me at a conference and said, just so you know, only stupid people write books like yours. And I even had someone say, I met someone once at a party, and it was a grandma, and I told them what I did for a living, and she went, books like yours belong in the garbage. And so I'm telling you that so that you are prepared that when you go out in the world and you are writing your book and you love your book and you pitch your book and you sell your book, that there are going to be people who look down on what you do because they have preconceived notions. And actually, romance is the biggest selling genre out there. And romance often pays for other things. So I'm just warning you right now, if this is something you love, people are going to give you grief about it. You don't have to listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about. But I did want to let you know that misconception. I would say the biggest misconception, and again, I'm going right back to the emotional core, but the biggest misconception is that all you need are two people who are physically attracted to each other. And you take two people that are physically attracted together and you smush them together, and they do sex, and that's romance. And I mean, I'm sure you, like me, have watched a dozen movies or hundreds where you're like yelling at the screen. That's not earned. And even then the marriage, whether it is intimacy, whether it's a marriage proposal, whether it's people deciding whatever they decide to do in their relationship, it has to be earned. You have to see how they come to that and what makes them decide they want to have that relationship. But you have to earn it. Just like a mystery, just like a suspense, the ending has to be something that is built up to, and that has, again, also the successes and failures. You need to have the successes, but you also need to have the failures. You need to have personal growth on everybody's side. You can't just take two people and squish them together and think that that's a romance.
I really appreciate you saying that is earned, because there's oftentimes I feel a certain cognitive dissonance when watching something or reading something, and I never exactly know how to pinpoint why I feel that cognitive dissonance. And I think that's why we call it, like, what was it, like what's the terminology we call it, like here's the plot point horse, or here's like the plot point, right? It's like there's no reason for you to exist other than in this moment we needed the thing and magically it manifests itself. But I think it's the earning part that makes it so important. And I think you provided some really good, like, real life wisdom. So we should call that one real life wisdom bomb, Peter, from when we timestamp, to just remind writers that, like, you know, when we're artists and we're creatives, we reveal such a vulnerable part of ourselves into the world. And sometimes we think of that preciousness and, like, it, and, you know, sometimes, like, from a professional standpoint, it's sometimes important to kill your baby, right? Listen to feedback and use it to get better. But sometimes there's people who's just gonna not understand the kind of work you do, and you have to be ready to face it when they decide to share their opinions with you. And you either take it with a grain of salt, you either educate, or you have to just let it go, right? There is a little bit of thick skinness, I think, that is required of us, and probably in a genre like romance too, when you have people who have such strong opinions about it.
Yeah. One of the gifts that I have pinned to my desktop is that, you know, some people aren't going to get you. Those are not your people. And romance is one of those genres where there are going to be a lot of people you know and love, and that's just not their thing. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be their thing. Doesn't mean they don't love you. It just means that that's not their thing. But when you find your people, and because you know what it's like when you find something you really connect with, and then you find those other people on Discord who really connect with it, and you find your people, and that's pretty amazing.
I like how you mentioned Discord. So for folks of you who are new to the Story Engine, I know we didn't get a chance to ask at the beginning. We always ask, where did you find us, if this is your first live stream or not. But for folks who are looking for some a writing community, we actually have a really great community that's actually led by our fans. So not led by us. They're led by just some folks who are very passionate about the Story Engine. It's called the Story Engine Creator Collective. You know, the Story Engine Creator Collective, and they have a Discord and a Facebook group. And people just share their draws. It's a very, like, non-judgmental space. So if you guys are looking for places like a Discord, we have one that's fan run. There was a question that just popped up from the audience here. Writing groups and chats that are helpful. So I think I just threw that at all. And I think we're getting folks asking for your mentorship, Maggie. I think if you have any workshops and if there's any appearances that are coming up, I think this is a great time for you to shout it out.
I have nothing that is coming up, but I will say that if people have a way to contact you and let you guys know that they're interested in mentorship or something like that, and you pass it on to me, then I'm definitely looking at forming a group. In the past, I would go to a lot of writers' conferences, but there haven't been that many on the horizon recently, because most of them are in the United States, and they haven't been having as many writers' conferences in the States right now. But I'm definitely looking at building a Discord. And in the past, again, finding your people that you can brainstorm with can be absolutely incredible and helpful. Some of the books I do for Harlequin are part of a larger series where a different author writes each book in the series. And even though those can be kind of pigeonholing because you're writing an episode in someone else's series, the best thing about it is that we all chat behind the scenes and we all share stories.
I read Transformers, and Transformers are often written by, like, different like, it's the whole series, but different chapters is drawn and written by different writers. So I actually, like, am totally into that. We have so many questions. Like, someone else is throwing all these questions up. Are you overriding me right now?
That one I just did.
Okay.
But well, I figured this one, it's not quite what you were just talking about, like, with different series, but it's a little bit related in terms of how you
extend a book to 1 to 3. I'm trying to. We have so many questions. We're not going to have a chance to answer them all, but please keep throwing them in the chat. We'll try and capture them. Maybe we'll, like, do a separate Q&A video with Maggie. Maybe Maggie will do a featured newsletter with you for like the hot great questions that came in from the live stream. But very quickly, very quickly, this is a 30-second one because there's about 2 or 3 questions I want to dig into before we move to the demo part of the live stream. Very quickly, if you had to give 20-second advice, how do you extend one book into a 3-book series?
It depends if it's the same couple in all 3 books, or is it a series? Because what I do with series is I take supporting characters and spin them off. So I have one book where the hero is in a really tough spot, so he calls his sister, and his sister was supposed to have his wedding, but the groom didn't show up. She was left at the altar, so she's sitting there on the other end of the phone, being the guy in the chair giving him all this advice, but also eating the wedding cake with a fork while she does it, because she has the whole cake on her desk. So when I came up with that character, I knew that I needed a spin-off book in which we meet her and the guy who left her at the altar and do a spin-off romance with that. And if you're looking at with one couple, then what I would say is map out what are the points that they hit. That one couple, and there are, I read a lot of suspense. So I'm thinking that J.D. Robb, who I love, and Janet Ivanovich, who I love, have both done multiple books with the same hero and heroine. And it would be, to me, map out where you want each relationship to end, where you want that relationship to end at the end of the book. So it could be at the end of the first book, they have their first kiss, and then at the end of the second book is when they become an actual partner or couple or whatever. But figure out where you want them each to be in each book. What is the journey of each individual book?
And I think you just drive-by answered another question that we had about whether or not you're a seat-of-the-pants writer or a plotter. But I know you very much as a plotter. You have a very thoughtful structure that you use for your books.
My heart is 100% pantser. My heart is pantser. Do people know the difference between a plotter and pantser here? A plotter is whether you write out of the plot, and a pantser is whether you fly by the seat of your pants. My heart is 100% pantser. But one of the things I've learned is if you want to make it work, you've got to figure out how to make it work. And if I write a really good proposal, a publisher likes that and gives me money. And if I can't write a really good proposal, the publisher doesn't like that and doesn't give me money. So what I actually have right now is I have my main books, which I am plotting. I'm working on a plot. So this weekend, in one screen, I'm going to have a plot that I am breaking down beat by beat by beat by beat, and I'm going to know when the midpoint is and the quarter mark and all those things. And on the other screen is going to be a completely different book that I'm just writing for me, that I am pantsing the heck out of and just throwing down ideas as they come to me, so that my pantser has a place to thrive.
And maybe the pants will come off because it becomes a spicy romance. I have 2 more questions I want to ask from the audience and one from us before we segue, but I'm going to take a really quick, we'll take a little quick pat in the back moment because I love this little comment that came in. It has nothing to do with romance because I can tell you that Written in Blood and Alibi is mystery and Written in Ash and Bone is horror, but has said they've been finding it helped flesh out your novella for your master's final project. Ooh, very much considering the romance pack too. Hey, that's your romance, horror, and mystery, baby. So very lovely. And from Maddie in Australia. So just thank you so much for sharing that, Maddie. That's so lovely, and love seeing the mashup, the genres that you're putting together. And I think you should absolutely put romance into that as well.
There are some people that say romance isn't a genre, it's a subgenre, because you can combine romance with anything.
And then see, now you're really pushing for those romance sub boosters.
Because for me, I need the murder. Like for me, if everybody falls in love and it's all happy, I need to have the murder. I recently loved Remarkably Bright Creatures. It had a romance, but it also had an octopus. So that at least I had something else. But for me personally, I like the murder, but not everybody does.
Mystery doesn't always need murder, does it? It could be finding a MacGuffin.
It could be theft. there is plenty of theft in mystery. That's true.
It's like we're just like, and murder. Mystery's just always murder.
I'm going to point out the trend of the out of context sentences that we've had during this live stream have been dropping bombs. We've said probably 5 times, which I'm sure the Google transcript is going to love. We've had what was the next one? Oh, talking about killing babies. Which again is kill your darlings is an expression for removing the parts of your writing that are dear to you but not necessarily adding value to the plot. And then we've had I need a murder. So I just, this is gonna be such a great transcript. The algorithm's gonna absolutely love pushing this out.
For a romance expansion, nonetheless.
Yeah,
Right? We're talking
yeah,
about a romance. Yet these are the unintentional. These are the sentences that we're sharing. Double question for you. What words do you find people overuse in the genre that makes things sound a bit stale? And do you know any good resources that may help with the romance genre vocabulary?
I find that what helps keep me from being stale is I read and I read and I read and I read and I read. And I don't always read within romance, but I will find something that just clicks and I'll be like, oh, I like that sentence. I like that image. I like that idea. I read a book, I read a book way back, I would say 20 years ago, which was Michael Crichton. And it was Michael Crichton, and the two characters were shaking hands. And then 2 paragraphs down, he goes, he noticed he hadn't yet let go of her hand. And I'm like, I'm using that. I'm going to use it. So that just pops up at least once in every book. I would say that to a degree, when it comes to stale, you can get away with anything once. If you use a phrase or an idea and you think that's stale, do a whole search through the book. And it's not that I find certain ideas are stale. It's just, is there another way to phrase if you put something in and you're like, okay, that sounds like a cliche, then I brainstorm around it how can I say it slightly differently, if that makes sense. Yep. I don't throw out all cliches. I just take a cliche and I'm like, okay, how can I put a little hat and a bow tie on it? Like, how can I do something fun and interesting and creative with these cliches? Because a lot of things exist for a reason, like fingers touching or whatever it happens to be. So if I say, okay, their fingers brushed, I might, okay, well, that sounds cliche. And I might have, the back of his thumb, something I read yesterday that I'd written was the back of his thumb brushed over the place on her finger where her wedding ring had once been. So I just take rather than throwing something out completely, I'm like, okay, how can I tweak it? How can I say it creatively? Was it butterflies in her stomach is overused, but you could, if you suddenly do sparklers or something fluttered, or do you know what I mean? It's like, how do I creatively play with this? I often think of it as sort of like in improv, where people are just throwing out ideas. If I have an idea, I will throw down 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 ideas and then see which one is interesting or creative, or did they leap or did they run or did they hurl themselves? That kind of thing. So I wouldn't say it's because I love the question. It's an amazing question. I don't want to demonize any words and say the words themselves are bad. It's all in how you play with them.
I think it really, this is one of those things where I also do hope the new expansions will assist with that, because with, I know one of the things, at minimum in the original story engine deck, if you look at the agent cards are usually sometimes like almost variations of a thing, right? And, when you think about words like student or archivist, it could mean a literal thing or mean something a little more metaphorical, and we can always just kind of work around our language that way. One thing I love about Deck of Worlds has introduced a plethora of vocabulary that I myself have never even thought of. It's not part of my usual repertoire. So you just get, as you said, read more, pick up more resources, use those opportunities. I'm a songwriter as well. I'm an opera metal singer. And one of the things I always notice is like, dang, we use like a lot of the same words over and over in a song because it sounds nice. But then you're like, you've just said that word like a lot. Like there's a lot of darkness, a lot of black. You need another way to talk about darkness.
The one that we make most is Nightwish keeps bringing up Ocean Soul.
Yeah, Nightwish loves their Ocean Soul. But, I sometimes think of like writing a little bit like poetry. You have to think, if you only have so many words, even if it's 50,000, out of 50,000, you might be cutting it down from 100, right? And it's thoughtful no matter how many words are at your disposal to create the end result.
Can I put Eric on? Oh, go ahead.
Go for it. No, please.
No, I was just going to put Eric on the spot and say that I appreciated in tell people live behind the curtain, earlier this week, Eric, one of the words we had on the card was jock, and Eric changed jock to gym rat, and I loved that.
Yeah.
I threw it. Yeah.
I'll take it. I'm not really sure. Like it's like jock is a very useful word. It's a very good word. It means a specific thing, but the challenge in like, because we used athlete in the original story engine deck. So like athlete was off the table for this one. And then we hadn't used jock yet. So I was like, that seemed like the closest thing, but it does have like a slightly bullying connotation. It's like a very high school connotation. It doesn't necessarily mean that depending on context, but like a gym rat is somebody who's like, and it, like very single-minded. It's like, it's like I go to the gym all the time. It's not necessarily good or bad. It could be all of these things. And it's like a little bit more evocative too, where it's like mall rat, gym rat, like all these kinds of little, it tells you a lot about their personality and where they hang out. And so it's just like a more evocative way of getting a similar point across. And that's kind of always what you're looking for.
I'd say don't be afraid to play with words. Don't be afraid to play with words. Don't be afraid to play with scenes. Don't be afraid to play with ideas. But a way to get out of the staleness is to play. And I just thought that was a great example that you've come up with.
And that's the thing too. It's like gym means something very specific. Rat means something very specific. And like if they were separate, it doesn't make sense. But you put them together, you get something different. And it's that alchemy that you're always looking for. And English as a language is really good at that in particular. I can't necessarily speak to other languages as much, but in terms of wordplay and like finding strange mashups that means something very different. I remember being told this one years ago. I don't remember where I first read it, but there's even though they sort of mean the same thing, if you were explaining what it means to somebody who doesn't speak English, there's a big context difference between butt dial and booty call. But it's like those, but the words involved are all kind of similar.
I can say that English being my second language, a lot of times these things are a little bit difficult. Final question from the audience here. And again, I know we have so many questions. We haven't had a chance to answer it all. We'll see if we can come back to it around the end, but we definitely want to get to our demo as well. But we'll also try and capture them all. Like I know we'll either save it all into a document later or something like that, where we can actually come back and maybe answer some of these questions, maybe in a featured newsletter or blog with Maggie, if you are so inclined to do so. But we have this one here from, what does it say? Gemini Nightmares?
Gemini Nightmares.
Or Gemini.
I was hoping that it was going to be that one.
And I'll quickly shout out, Gemini Nightmares is a friend of the story engine. Let us know if we can say who you are. We don't reveal people in case they're like private about things, but friend of the story engine, who's a writer, friend of ours. Sorry.
I love this question so much.
Yeah, how do you advise mapping emotional progression in a slow burn so it doesn't stall? And with that, how do you make readers root for a relationship that logically shouldn't work?
Yeah. Take the second part first. When it says a relationship that logically shouldn't work, you basically have two things going on at the same time. You have the reason that it, quote, logically shouldn't work, which might be what the people think, what the world sees, what the characters believe about themselves. And then underneath, the reason why it does work. Now, it might be the reason it, quote, logically shouldn't work is because what the characters believe about themselves. They might believe lies about themselves. They might believe things about themselves that aren't true. They might believe things about their place in the world that aren't true, or about society that aren't true, or that other people might believe that aren't true. Why you make the relationship work is you're constantly contrasting between the lie that people believe versus the real truth. The real truth of who someone is, the real truth of what someone wants or what they need. So you have basically you're doing both at the same time. And then you have great conflict bouncing back before the two. When it comes to mapping emotional progression, I would say that like any other genre, you need the successes and the victories. I'm going to close my eyes. Are you ready? So we have two things going on at once with a couple. We have the internal things pulling them together and pushing them apart, and the external things pulling them together and pushing them apart. And the way you map the progression is you play with both the internal and the external. So say the internal is pulling them together like they want to kiss, but the external comes in and messes it all up like a phone call or someone running in the door and stopping them from kissing. Then you have the internal pushing them apart, as in I hate you and I never want to see you again. And then the external throws them together, like their cars get stuck at the side of the road and it's raining and there's only one bed, or they both, in my case, they both get kidnapped by the same person and thrown in a trunk together, so they're stuck together. But by really playing with the internal and the external, what's pulling them, because you need the internal to go together, apart, together, apart, together, apart. And by having the external going together, apart, together, apart, together, apart, until the external and the internal both end up with them being together, if that makes sense.
So
I have one thing I do.
Yeah. No. Go for it. I want to hear the one thing you did.
No, I was going to say, I like that meme. I like the thing from Galaxy Quest. I have one job on this crazy ship. You know, there are a lot of things I can't do, but understanding how to make, my job is to make fictional people fight and kiss.
I like fighting and kissing. Actually, so the last series we did before the new expansion launch is we did a series of writing sprints as part of the new year to get us all, stirring our creative juices together as a group. And I pulled up a really old historical Canadian fiction romance that I'd sort of been working on. Nice. Talking a little bit about Chinese laborers and Chinese people who were brought into Canada in the early 1920s. Because I always felt like, as I used to be an actor, and I always felt like that there was a shocking lack of Asian representation in all the TV shows and Murdoch mysteries that take place in Victorian day Canada. I'm like, but we were here, so I decided to write my own story. Nice. But of course it's full of conflict, and then it's a lot of kissing. So I'm totally here for the for the fight and kiss scenario.
I can add one more thing while we're talking about the internal and the external, is that also works for buddy comedies. You don't have to have the kiss, but you got these two partners who don't want to work together, and the internal and so that you can do that in a platonic relationship, have the conflict between the internal and the external going at the same time.
I think, just to kind of circle back to the earlier question, people who dismiss romance as a genre, it's everything that you're talking about does not apply only to romance. It's every good story should have emotional stakes. It's it's most obvious in romance because that's really what everything is built around. But even if you're trying to save the world, your story is better if all of these components are there. So it's this if you dismiss the appeal of the romance genre, you're dismissing what makes a story great in terms of emotional impact.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep moving this along because I think we have so much we want to talk about, and we only have Maggie for a certain period of time. Our lovely friend has allowed us to share her name. So this is Anika. This question that came from Anika again, also a writer and friend of the Story Engine. So we're very excited to see where you take Maggie's answers, Anika, and apply it to your own writing. Please do keep your questions coming in as well. Again, we're going to try and capture all of this information at the end. And it seems like a lot of folks are wanting a chance to talk to Maggie outside of this live stream, and we'll work at trying to consolidate something. You can always reach out to us at hello@storyenginedeck.com or contact us through our contact form on our website saying you're interested in learning more about Maggie and possibly participating in some sort of group or some sort of mentorship or chat past this live stream.
And if it seems like we're kind of making this up on the fly, it's because we are.
We're coming up with new programs and new collaborations and new thoughts on the fly. Thank y'all. Talking of, this is a great enough segue, I think, as any towards our new expansion. So what do you think, what are the most essential elements and tropes that you felt were needed for this romance expansion that we're now releasing?
I really love all of the engines and all of the conflicts in this. I just think that they are amazing, and you did a really, really great job with them. So I don't know if that answers the question. I just think it's a really great deck when it comes to the engines and the conflicts, because that's what you need. I do not own every deck. I only own 4 of them, but I will say that I think that the engines and the conflicts in this particular deck is the strongest. I don't want to say they're better than the others, but they are very strong because it's all about the conflict.
I feel like we should hook you up with some of our other decks just to see what other subgenre noodly things that you can do with them. Yeah, I think we'll have to fix that for you, Maggie.
Yeah, because like this is all about the conflict, this genre, and I just think that you guys did such a great job of working in all of these conflicts.
And part of what we ended up doing, I think, too, because I mean, my first idea for this before we brought Maggie in, and I was like, how am I going to do romance, was to make it entirely engines and conflicts, no agents, no aspects, no anchors. But what we did is looked at a lot of the tropes that power conflicts and that power motivations, and found ways to scatter those across aspects, anchors, and agents. So scandalous as an aspect is great because that comes with a little piece of conflict. You can still have scandal as part of the conflict, but this is a way to like to find another way to thread it in. Yeah,
I know that I was like I was like from the beginning because I knew Peter's hang up, and I kind of said I think this works the same way our other genre expansions do. It's like I actually wrote the first draft just like, and a lot of that didn't make it into the final cut. It was kind of like to see as like a proof of concept to see it's like these are what you could do with anchors and agents in a romance expansion. So it was like finding the balance of like what what are the pieces of the genre that still feel essential that fit with our existing format.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say that if there's anybody out there who's looking for a master list of tropes, a master list of ways to write romance, that you've hit everything that I can think of. I can't think of anything that you've missed. There are people who go out there on Google and look for like master lists of ideas or master lists in books, and I think that you have hit, and I've never seen it in this format before. But if you're like, okay, what are the main types or whatever, when I'm just, and they haven't seen it yet, have they? So we're just hyping it up.
They haven't.
But
like I said,
it's just, yeah, it's all here. You have managed to create a master list of, I will say, romantic conflicts and romantic plots, and you've done it in card form, which is amazing.
We have solved writing.
Oh, if only.
Yeah. If you're looking at purchasing it, you can go to storyenginedeck.com/new. And if you do purchase the entire set, if you pre-order it, you have a chance to have access to the alpha before it gets released to anyone else. And in the alpha, you get a chance to see things like grammar errors or spelling mistakes or maybe repeated words. So you get to see how things exist on the cutting room floor, so to say. I feel like this answer got answered because I was going to ask you, what do you think the expansion does particularly well? And you basically said the engines and conflict.
And this is not me. This is not me blowing sunshine. Like I said, Peter's known me for 13 years. I would take a copy of this deck and frame it and hang it on my wall in my office. So just when I'm stuck, I'm like, well, what can I do? What can I do? And I can scan it and see some of the ideas. Because again, the engines and the conflicts are really, really strong in this. And like I said, it gets to the emotional core. You know, and I was worried. Shouldn't say worried. No, I always have full faith in everyone. What I wouldn't want to see is a deck that's like, okay, weddings are romantic, we'll put in a wedding. You know, babies are cute, we'll put in a baby, as opposed to realizing the conflicts have to be like deep in your heart, gut-wrenching stuff. And this is a really gut-wrenching deck.
Yeah. I feel like I have this new vision now. If we ever release some collector's edition where we frame it all like a periodic table, and it's like, if anyone, the Story Engine will just be a custom mural company where we just like wallpaper our cards onto people's walls into a periodic table. The posters, the Story Engine poster experience.
I think what we need to do is get it printed on dartboard material so that rather than drawing cards, people.
There we go. This is our new business idea. We're just gonna now just take over people's homes and build Story Engine rooms or something. But I'm digressing. I think it is time for us to show the thing that we've been talking so much about over the last hour. Peter?
Yeah. If this live stream is a slow burn romance, then this is definitely the first kiss moment that it builds up to, is getting to actually play with the cards. So yeah, we will dive on in. Before I do, I just want to say some quick thank yous to people who have worked on the deck and also made the work on the deck possible. So yeah, Maggie, huge thank you for all the consultation work that you've done, for all the notes you gave, for the cards that you wrote. We're crediting you both as a consultant and as a writer, because in the feedback that you gave us, like you said, you were constantly pitching, you're constantly spinning ideas. You gave us a bunch of amazing cards just giving feedback. So thank you so much. much. Thank you, Eric, who wrote the first draft of the deck, who believed in the vision of all 5 card types and managed to prove that concept, and who worked continuously throughout the revisions to continue to supply new ideas for it. Thank you to Zach, who did our cover design, who did the internal box design, and who's did a ton of layouts for other expansions as well. Thank you to the Story Engine team, Masha, who's been overseeing a lot of the production along with Maroki, to Olesia, who put together all of our initial product pages so that we can get this launched on the website, to Rachel, who has been handling the FAQs so that people understand what's going on with the new expansion sets. This, like, it's not just the people who work on the expansion that make it possible. It's like having a full team behind it to get it out into the world that makes it possible. So I just wanted to say a big old thanks to everyone involved. And also, if you have seen, if you ever get ads from the Story Engine, I apologize if you get too many. We don't really control that. But Anika actually recorded a really lovely video for us. She asked the question earlier, talking about her experience using the deck for her writing. She's working on a fantasy, almost science fantasy novel. So just thank you also, Anika, for supplying us with a really wonderful video and letting us use it as an ad, because I think people have really connected with it. And appreciate that.
And I should say thank you to all of you, because I think if you weren't all asking for these, specifically the romance one, we wouldn't have gotten here. And of course, it's all your support that you continue to give us over the years that has helped us lead to the point where we can be releasing cool new expansions and decks out into the world, right? Like this started like as Peter by himself, and I was gonna say in your basement, but I don't think it was a basement. Wherever you were.
There was a period where I was working on it in a basement. Yeah. That was a period of that. Yeah.
Like it takes a community to grow like the Story Engine to where it is now, from Peter in his whatever room or basement he was in to this. And it's not possible without everyone's support and love over the years. So thank you guys so much for all of that.
Yeah. Huge team. And with all of the shoutouts done, let's show you what it looks like. Well, let's get into it.
Do it. Give us the kiss, Peter. Give us the kiss.
Heart of the cards, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna swap those two, and we've got our expansion. So one more quick reminder, we're going to be doing the next bit with a little bit less discussion than usual, and we're probably not going to be pulling up chat comments as much, just while we get through a quick demo of the deck in its basic use, and then we'll be much more open and loose again. So just give us about, I feel like the demo is usually 10 to 15 minutes, something like that. And yeah, before we get started, I think we're just good to go. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, welcome to our brief demo of the Romance expansion, also a first look at the Romance expansion from the Story Engine deck. This is going to look a lot like a number of our genre expansions, like our fantasy, horror, and science fiction expansion. What it really focuses on is the core elements, the most powerful tropes and story structures and conflicts of these genres, and finding a way to package them so that you can combine them in new and novel ways to write and tell your own stories. So you'll see that there's 12 of each card type that we have in the main Story Engine deck, 12 agents, which are our character types, 12 engines, which are motivations, 12 anchors, which include locations, objects, events, all these non-people things that are part of the story. There's 12 conflicts, which of course are obstacles the characters have to overcome, or sometimes it's the price they have to pay for getting what they want, and 12 aspects, which are adjectives that just describe other cards, add a little bit of spice and seasoning to flavor other card types and make your prompts a bit more personalized. There's a lot of different ways you can use this deck either on its own or in conjunction with our other decks, and Maruki will walk you through some of the ways that this integrates with the existing Story Engine deck system.
Yeah, of course. So as you said, Peter, it can definitely be used on its own to create romance-focused stories. It has all 5 card types in it of the Story Engine. So if you want to be hyper specific, you can use it. However, I always think that our expansions combine the best with the Story Engine, because when you do that, you get trillions and trillions of potential story ideas, right? To Maggie's point earlier, it's like you don't want the things to go stale. And the ways for it to not go stale is to make sure there's always new options on the table. So obviously, being a Story Engine expansion, it will combine super seamlessly with the Story Engine deck, but it also has the opportunity to combine with all our other expansions and boosters of the Story Engine deck as well, because that way you're going to create those mixed genre stories, right? Like your romance, suspense, or romantasy, paranormal romance. What was it? The mystery horror romance mashup that Maddie was suggesting earlier. There are so many ways to create like like tension, either putting it in an existing romance or to kind of do something that's slow burny that I think is going to that has so many endless opportunities when you combine the romance expansion with the story engine deck with all our boosters and genres. And we have 6 other expansions. So for those of you who are newer to the story engine deck and wondering what is all of that, story engine has 6 expansions: fantasy, sci-fi, horror, mystery, unique items, and backstories. And then we have 12 subgenre boosters. I don't challenge my memory. I'm not going to state them all here, but we have 12. So just telling you, 6, 12, and then 3 new expansions if you're looking at completing your entire collection. One of the great things is that all our decks talk to each other as well. So for those of you who have only 1 or 2 of our 3 decks, we have the Story Engine deck, Deck of Worlds, and Lore Masters deck. They all do communicate with each other. And we even have 3 bridge expansions to help you with that if you want just like a little bit of an extra hand, but you don't need it. I'll say that, you can combine the decks without the bridge expansions. We like the bridge expansions because sometimes if you're feeling a little stuck, it's a really good way to just get that prompt you need to combine the 2 decks. I think the Lore Masters deck has so much good synergy because you can do all those romantasy stories that you're dreaming of, right? You can do it, you can transform it from modern romance. You can even make like modern romantasy, because I think urban fantasy is totally a thing. But Lore Masters deck have factions and figures, so you have the opportunity to build romance around like entities or people within like teams and people within factions, and you can really like create like tension and engines within like a world or significant location. So lots and lots of opportunities there. And then of course there's an opportunity to combine Deck of Worlds, because there's, you can build a world and then you put the romance in it, and maybe something that's culturally happening within a world, or maybe something that like was a namesake, right? Like something was like founded on the site of a historic murder or something. Does that, if you think about Romeo and Juliet, like those things are founded on those legacies, right? It's like they founded on those legacies of pain and suffering of other people, but then you find love in it in spite of it all. So Deck of Worlds offers a lot of opportunities to give you some like really interesting settings for how you want to stage your romance. I think I captured it all, right, Peter?
That's everything, yeah. And specifically for guidance on how to combine Lore Masters deck with cards from the Story Engine in general, you'll find that on the last page of Lore Masters deck. For how to combine Story Engine and Deck of Worlds, you'll find that on the last page of the Deck of Worlds guidebook. So we've got the stuff that covers that. We're not going to cover that today, but it's out there for you. What we will do today is we will do a core prompt with just the romance expansion to come up with a like fully focused romance story prompt. We'll show you how all the cards come together. We'll discuss the story possibilities so you can see how you can make interesting creative choices. And then I think what we'll probably do is we'll do like a mixed genre one. We might do like a romantasy prompt. So specifically try to combine cards from here with the fantasy expansion. I know romantasy is really big right now, and show how you can make some interesting choices to combine elements from different tropes. But let's get started with a straightforward romance expansion. So what we're going to do is do a basic story seed. You will find in the Story Engine guidebook, which is an 8-page guidebook how to use the Story Engine, that there's different prompt formats. We're going to do the simplest one. This is kind of the easiest way to use the deck, but you'll be able to make your own custom prompts once you get used to the grammar of the deck. The main Story Engine guidebook does not come included with the Romance expansion, but the Romance expansion includes a link to the guidebook so you can download it if you don't have it already. But we think that most people who get this will be getting it with the main deck, so usually you already have a physical printed copy. It does come with its own little guidebook that'll explain different ways to combine it with other Story Engine cards, so that is covered. The other thing I'll really quickly mention about this expansion, because it's something that's unique to it that not all of our expansions have as a point of interest, is how appropriate is it? What are the spice levels? There are no graphic images. There are no graphic prompts. There is nothing explicitly sexual. There are themes of intimacy. There are themes of fidelity, but none of these things ever get explicit. So if you are working with a younger writer or younger deck user and you want to review the cards in advance, we do recommend that, especially if you're not sure if you want to have to answer questions about intimacy or things like that. However, everything should be classroom appropriate. Anything that does deal with intimacy doesn't deal with it explicitly. It deals with it through innuendo or through general reference. So you won't have to necessarily field material that you don't want to field in your story or in the stories of people that you're working with the deck with if you're an educator. So the guidebook does come with a little note, though, mentioning those themes, just so that no one is surprised if you open this with a bunch of 6th graders. You're not suddenly surprised with cards about wanting to be intimate, or wanting to let go of control with or to. So those things are in the deck, but they are handled in a more generalized way. But you can also read those and go as spicy as you want with them. We've left so much room for spice. Great. So we're going to make a story seed. We're going to use each of the 5 card types. Like I mentioned before, agent cards are characters that could exist in the story. Engines are motivations for those characters. Anchors are objects, locations, events, and other non-people things that are part of the stories. We've got our conflict cards, which are obstacles that they have to overcome, or a consequence for getting what they want, a price they have to pay. And then we've got our aspect cards, which are adjectives that can describe other card types. And we're going to start by drawing an agent card and figuring out who our story's about. Also keep in mind, these cards aren't final. These have not been through sensitivity review yet. These are actually the versions from Maggie's first review of the deck. So there may be some art that comes up that we've since replaced, or some cues that have moved places. It's very, very close to final, but just so that you're aware, these are not the final cards. We're going to draw our agent card. So is our story about a renegade, a protege, a chef, or an X? When you have a story engine card, there's multiple prompts. You'll rotate the card and you'll place the prompt that you want to use at the bottom in front of you so that it's facing you and you know that that's your active cue. Maggie, who's our story about?
I always want to go hard for the conflict, so I want an X.
All right.
I like an X.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. We are kind of a character who's an X. Let's go ahead and draw an engine card to give our X a motivation. I'm just going to go left to right across the screen from people I see here. So Eric, this one's coming to you.
Okay.
Do they want to find the one that got away with or in someone or something? Or do they want to take control of or give up control of or to something?
Take control or give up control.
All right. All right, an X who wants to take control of something or give up control of or to something. Now, in a standard story seed, we will draw a anchor card next. One thing that you might find with romance is that sometimes you want to do more prompts where you replace anchors with agent cards. So that you have stories that involve 2 people directly, but we can also figure out other characters by implication. The anchor could belong to someone. It could be important to someone. So there's lots of ways to do this. For now, we're going to start with a basic format here. So we'll go ahead and draw an anchor card. Moroki, this is coming to you. Our X wants to take control of or give up control of or to a corner, a glance, a bet, or an invitation. Also, no romance deck is complete without some kind of New York street shot.
I like the idea of taking control of a bet.
Yeah, I like that too. That's an intriguing one. All right, we have an X wants to take control of a bet. Conflict card. This is going to go back to you, Maggie. But they will have to finally grow up. But they will overhear something that could ruin everything.
But they'll overhear something that could ruin everything.
Classic third act conflict. We love it. And then for the aspect card, let's make this a kind of group discussion here. We'll each give like maybe speak for like 15 to 30 seconds on what you find interesting here. We have childhood. We have off limits. We have scandalous. And we have heartbroken. And I'll remind you that some of the things we could describe as being heartbroken, childhood, off limits, or scandalous. It could be a childhood X. It could be a childhood bet, like a bet that's been around since childhood. It could be an off limits X. The thing that they overhear could be off limits or scandalous. It could be a heartbroken X, even a heartbroken bet. So what words are standing out to people and why do you find it interesting? We'll start with you, Maggie.
I like the idea of a scandalous bet.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the idea that there is somebody who is in a former relationship with someone, but they've made this bet and this bet is scandalous and they want to step in and take control of that. Maybe they want to manipulate the bet to get something. I don't know. I like that. I don't know what it is. It's just, it's intriguing.
Eric, what do you find interesting here?
Scandalous is always such a great word. The bet is like an intro, because I'm thinking of what's the movie?
Tag?
No, not Tag. The one where She's All That.
Yeah.
Where it's like, that's a movie that starts with a bet, where it's like, I bet you can get, like, turn anybody into the prom queen. And it's like, I'm trying to think of what the bet actually is that they're trying to get or get control of. And so I'm trying to figure out which one of these applies the most. I think Scandalous is by far the one that, like, has the most possibilities. That are Off Limits. And Off Limits bet, it's like, we're not going to Vegas. We're going to, like, the seedy, off track, back of the bar kind of, like, betting situation, which has lots of possibilities as well.
Maruki, what's speaking to you here?
I was actually looking at Childhood or Heartbroken for the ex, right? Like a childhood ex that's like something that maybe the other character, like the love interest, like didn't care. It's like, this is something, you know, like our relationship happened when we were 12. It means nothing to you, but you were the love of their life, right? And now they've grown up and it's like, wait, like I meant something to you. You clearly have already moved on, but I care about this. And maybe the bet is going to get them somewhere closer to their love interest, which is why it's such a big stake for them, right? Like maybe the ex is like not in a financially well-off place, and the love interest is really, really rich. So he's like, I'm gonna try and like take on this huge like stock risk or bet on this huge company because I want to be, if I become this powerful, then she will notice me or something like that. And Heartbroken plays in that too, because it's like, I've been wronged, I'm hurt, and I feel like if I do this like kind of risky venture, I might be able to gain the affection of the person back.
Yeah, I love Heartbroken X is such a great choice because you start with a character who's wounded and has trouble that they need to solve, and that's going to start your story with momentum. I love Childhood Bet. I was thinking of the movie Tag, where they have like a bet going since childhood about like an ongoing game of tag. And so the idea of like there's been a bet going since childhood, which would really give it some like deep roots in this character's backstory, especially if the bet involves their ex. Also, the idea that everything that could get ruined is their childhood, right? It could ruin their childhood. To learn something now that would change how they understand where they came from.
I had the idea that it might not even be them that placed the bet. They could be kids. And it's like their mother or father or whatever placed a bet that this would one day happen. And then they're like, sorry, this bet was placed. And now I'm going to lose the house and I'm going to lose the farm. And they're like, oh no, I need to track down my horrible ex to take control of this bet. I don't know.
Yeah, and giving two characters who don't want to work together a reason where they have to work together, such a great setup. Also, off limits control, like the control that they're going to take is outside of what they're supposed to do on the bet. It would be like interceding in a way that breaks the rules. Like all of these things are really interesting choices. So normally what we would do is tuck one of these choices underneath another card. So let's imagine it was a scandalous bet. We would do this. I'm kind of inclined just to like leave the card out so that we can think about how these words connect to different prompts.
But it's the 101 way, Peter. The 101 way.
All right, a scandalous. We'll go with the scandalous bet because there's a lot of ways we can use that, and it ties into a lot of the ways that we've already been discussing. But yeah, what you'll find if you open the Story Engine guidebook, one of the first instructions is that you can adapt any rule that is not suiting your purpose. So always feel free to take the cards in a different direction than what they're strictly saying. But look at that. A few simple choices. We've got a really interesting story prompt that we could easily turn. Like this is there's enough structure here to write a novel about. This could be a feature-length movie, and there's so many ways you can reinterpret it. If we need to figure out who they are an ex of, we could draw more agent cards off to the side and pile more on. But for now, for the purpose of demonstrating a simple story prompt, that's all we got to do. That's it. It's that easy. We got ourselves a romance, baby.
And you know what? Of course, to our chat, if you're coming up with any ideas based on our ex who wants to control or give up control of a scandalous bet, but they might overhear something that could ruin everything. Please put in the chat, because we always love seeing the ideas that you guys are coming up with. We come up with so many cool ideas every single live stream. I wish I could remember them all and immortalize them all. I even had this thought the other day, Peter, talking about all the cool things we could do after live stream. Like, you know, with your permission, chat, like always include whether we're allowed to share any of the cool ideas you come up with, because I think there's been some really amazing gems, and I would love to feature them in the newsletter. Like, I would love to say we had this cool live stream and look at this one prompt and look at the 6 cool ideas that are completely different that different folks came up with. It's so magical seeing what comes out of everyone's minds from these live streams. I find them so inspirational. I find you also inspirational. So please share your ideas in the chat as well. I was wondering, Peter, if we may or may not want to share some of the other agent cards that are coming up in this deck as well before we get into our loosey goosey demo part. And when I say loosey goosey means inviting you, chat, to do the fun part that we've all been waiting for as well.
Yeah, and it's also where we get to be a bit less structured. We don't have to do the straight line basic prompts. We can get experimental with things. Yeah, let's take a look at some of those agents. I think Hiroki is bringing this up because selecting the agents was just picking people that are romantic leads is a fun thing to do. We have changed out some of the images. So I'm trying to think if I should show the ones that have been cut or not. What do we think?
I mean, they'll never see them again. I guess in the alpha deck they will, but might as well share what goes on in the cutting room floor. These are a little bit peek behind the curtains moments, folks, about things that may or may not make it. And I think it's been fun. I think a lot of the Story Engine team has been really tickled because I think we don't get a chance to sometimes find certain images for our leads, and there were certain ones that I think folks loved more than others.
It's like, I won't lie, when we were doing the first draft of the deck, it seemed like there were just a lot of different types of character tropes that turn up in romance that I didn't think were in the core deck, and I was like, it really seems like there's space to have some fun with this in this deck, and I think we got there.
All right. Well, then my last question, do you think I should highlight the ones that have since been changed, or we let people figure that out themselves when they check out the this versus the alpha versus the final? I think the alpha will not have these cards. I'm pretty sure.
Let's leave it. Let's leave it as a little Easter egg that folks can go look for.
Alrighty. Well, then first we have our small business owner / crush / single parent / cheat.
Ooh, it's a completely different human the second you call him a cheat.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I love you rotate the card, you get activate these different meanings. But I liked that there were so many different dimensions to this sort of character type. We've got our Dynamo, Frenemy, Marine, Stranger card. We have got this has been, I think, the fan favorite internally.
In terms of images, yes.
This is the one that I had to email to Maggie and be like, "Is this too spicy?" A free spirit, a farmhand, a spouse, a next in line. We have our tradesperson, matchmaker, friend, and creative. Our executive, star, wallflower, classmate.
What is that game I had as a child? Maggie, you might know this. It was called telephone.
Oh, Dream Phone?
Dream Phone.
I don't know this.
You don't know this game?
No.
It's definitely the game that all little girls wanted at one point if you were little and heterosexual, but it was
I wasn't allowed to own it. It was too scandalous for my house.
Oh, I temper tantrumed my way into getting it as a Christmas gift. It was not the first choice of my parents, but I think I was loud enough that they decided I needed to have it. So Dream Phone, Peter, is a game where there's just a slew of cards of men, and then you call them on a phone, on this little phone, and then they give you clues of who's the guy who really likes you. And then at some point you call, and then you call the right guy, and you'll be like, "You're right, I really like you." And you find out who your dream is. Yeah.
Huh.
So yeah, that's Dream Phone.
Yeah, it's figure out who's your secret admirer.
Yeah.
All right, we will work on this a card adaptation, a deck-based adaptation for our next project.
Anyways,
it's like Clue, but you have to guess a different thing. Yeah, this one we've already seen. Our Renegade Protege Chef X. We've got our employer, reporter, co-conspirator, perfectionist. Eric alluded to the perfectionist before. We've got our bookseller, charmer, nanny, business partner. We've got our nod to heated rivalry, our player, personal trainer, tease, competitor.
Which I will add started out as a Harlequin. It was one of the books like mine. Every now and then books not my book, but books like mine get picked up and turned into big hits.
Also, Halifax local author, I believe. So for my neck of the woods here. We've got our mogul, assistant, jock, old flame / daddy. We've got our
Where's the / daddy?
in my heart. We've got a shopkeeper, a bachelor, bachelorette, a coworker, a homecoming king, queen, and we've got our slacker, confidant, firefighter, widow, widower. And those are our agents. The anchors are there's less eye candy in the. Okay.
I think it was just fun because folks can sort of see some of the brain, like some of the story engine. We talk so much about writing, but there's such a visual element a little bit in what we do. And I think we had a comment earlier saying that I think they said their partner was an artist, so they actually use our decks as visual inspiration for them as well, which I think is so lovely. We're getting I know we want to go into our fun part of the demo where all of you guys get a chance to participate, but I know we have so many questions still coming in. Someone asking about how many cards are in all 3 decks combined. Want to know how many sleeves you need to buy. So we have over 20, close to 2,500. But if you buy our sleeves, actually on our website, we sort of have sleeves in like different packages. And if you buy our largest pack, which is 2,500 sleeves, that should sleeve your entire collection plus a few extras. So if you have any of our PDF outtakes that you decide to print out or any blank cards, it should give you a little bit of extra space. I think we might actually need to change that number now that we have 3 new expansions.
I was going to say, we do have a website that has a collection calculator that tells you how many cards are in the full set. I'll drop that link. If you go to
storyenginedeck.com/storage, it'll redirect you to our storage master page. And then there you'll see the little button you can click for your collection calculator, which will tell you how many cards you have. You just select which expansions you have and which ones you don't. And it'll give you all that.
And
we only have
each expansion is 60 cards.
Yeah, expansion 60 cards. We only have Mags for another 15 to 20 minutes. So I think, why don't we save any questions that we can answer, the 3 of us, after Mags?
Yes, of course.
Save those after, and we'll focus on some things that we can either only ask Mags or that we can do with her as part of the prompts.
Yes, absolutely. And we have like a bunch of other questions. I'm going to try and pull them up or maybe ask Eric to pull them up. I know we have this one that came in earlier from Cariana. Do you have any thoughts on how to incorporate romance into other genres? I know we kind of touched on this a little bit, but if you had to give some specific advice on how to do it, Maggie, how would you say to go about it?
Okay, I'm unmuted. That's great. See, I muted in case the cat was meowing. I would say to think about how the romance fits into, like, how is it a core important part of that genre, right? There is a movie on Netflix that I'm looking forward to seeing where he's a cop and she's a reporter and they're at odds and they're trying to solve a murder. So I would say, how do you tie the romance into the other genre? If it is a horror, are they both suspects? Are they both victims? Is one a potential victim and one a cop, etc.? But to really figure out like how these 2 people fit in this world and are an important part to the world. What you never want is them to be, tangential or off to the side. You want to figure out how this other genre only works with these 2 characters and the fact they fall in love. And these 2 characters and the fact they fall in love only work with that genre, and figure out how they have to work together.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yeah.
We could, for the next demo example, do. I mean, again, we are lucky enough to have a 1 million copy selling author of suspense romance in the house. We could. I'd said we were going to do romantasy. We could save romantasy. I will at some point do romantasy on the live stream. We'll get that done at some point. But we could instead do a use mystery and romance to. You could basically show us what you would do to combine the genres as our next demo, and combine those 2 expansions instead, because we have a very unique opportunity to bring in your expertise here.
Yeah, what would you like to do, Maggie? Maybe we'll ask you to kind of drive the bus on this next one.
I have so much joy that I've gotten out of using this as a tool, and just you guys have brought so much joy and happiness to my life that I'm just really happy to see what you guys come up with, and what other people want to know and what other people are looking for.
Maybe we can ask the audience to vote. on what
Yeah.
mashup they want. And while you guys, okay, wait, maybe Peter,
Explain the
provide some
voting
parameters.
rules.
Provide some parameters. We'll provide the rules for folks who aren't used to vote, who've never voted on our chat before. It's the first to 3. So don't vote until we count and we say 3, 2, 1, go. You can have your answer loaded up to smash the enter button when it happens, but it's the first to 3. So Peter, maybe why don't you offer a couple of genre, subgenre options that we could play with?
Sure. Okay. So then, here are your options that you can vote for to combine with romance for our next prompt. So you can vote for fantasy, for mystery, for horror, or for science fiction. So fantasy, mystery, horror, or science fiction. And then I'll count us down because I'm already talking. You can start voting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Go. And while that's coming in just some question here asking any tips for a middle grade YA romance, trying not to get too inappropriate while making it work between the 2 leads.
You'll be surprised to know that I like to close my eyes while I'm writing, but I see it play out in my mind like a movie. So, for example, I wrote a book once where they found a dead body in the wall. And my editor said, you can't have a dead body in the wall because that automatically makes it like an R-rated movie that we find a dead body in the wall. So I quickly rewrote the scene where they break open the wall and they see a suitcase, and all they see is a pink suitcase. And then we later find out off screen that there was a body in the suitcase. And then suddenly when we do that, it's all the way down to a PG level. So I would say for the YA, for when it comes to sort of rating, that's when I close my eyes and I play it in my mind and I think, okay, if this was a movie, where would this fall in what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling? Also, it never hurts to help people, to talk to people in your lives who love that genre, read that genre, are that age, and find out what they're into. I could only write 40 books by constantly asking everybody their thoughts and their ideas.
Good answer, and like succinct answer too.
Yeah, I like that very real example of how you can make such a small change while still keeping the integrity, like keeping the plot that you want to share, but being able to bring it to a different level so that it meets the audience expectations. Okay.
So, we had an interesting thing with the votes here, where somebody thought we said history, voted for history. When they realized they misheard, said I changed my vote to sci-fi. And sci-fi gets it if we convert the history vote in the timeline to a sci-fi vote. So I think we're going to do a sci-fi romance. I think that is what the people have called for. That's it. It was neck and neck. It was so close. So let's do it.
Okay.
If it was a different writer who I was less sure of their ability to spin a story out of absolutely anything, I might not have put it to a vote and gone rogue here, Maggie. But I know that you got this. So
I love sci-fi.
Let's do it.
I have a sci-fi romance on my bedside table that I haven't read yet. So,
I am a huge fan of "This Is How You Lose the Time War," which I think
that's the book.
Yeah, so good. It's so good. You're gonna love it. Rad. Okay, so I think what we'll do here. So in the guidebook, we do talk about. Here's the guidebook, for example, for sci-fi, and there's similar notes in the romance one with a couple of additions. But basically, you can use only expansion cards to create a focus prompt. You can mix expansion cards into the main deck, or you can freely mix multiple expansions and boosters. You can also make your own genre cocktails. So that's what we're gonna do. In general, I recommend if you're combining a bunch of different genres together to sometimes draw an extra card so that if you have a bunch of kind of random prompts, you have some more options for making them click. What we're going to do here, because we have a chance to work with a genre expert and see how she'd make choices, we're going to actually just draw 2 cards per prompt. We might reduce down to 1 card when it's time for the vote, but that way you can tell us why you're picking this genre's element instead of this genre's element as we build the story. And I'm going to throw all of our prompt questions here to you, Maggie. I know that you have to leave in 5 to 10, so we'll try and do it quickly. And then we may throw 1 or 2 votes over to the chat as well, if and when we have time. So to start off, we have got from romance.
I'm excited. A
small business owner, a single parent, a cheat, a crush. I'm just going to also quickly change our view here.
Thank you.
So that's our romance option. And our agent from sci-fi, our sci-fi option, is a graffiti artist, a DJ, a clubber, a bartender.
Um, there is so much we could do with both of these, but we have the small business owner and the graffiti artist are the ones that I can read. And so I think we're going to go with those two.
Okay. So
We'll
let's
see
have
what happens.
so small business owner and graffiti artist. So chat, we'll actually have you vote really quickly here. Mroki, do you want to count us down?
3, 2, 1, and vote.
So
I was
small
ready
business
for the
owner-
small business owner to also just be a graffiti artist. It's like that's their small business. I literally just graffiti things for. I mean, they're artists. I don't know if I would call them a small business owner, but that's how they've gotten to. They have like murals and graffiti style. I like see people are like both. I've already.
Okay, done. Let's
I
do
think
it.
artist won. Technically.
I was thinking both before someone in the chat said it, and the chat has affirmed what's in my heart. So
specifically Denise. Specifically, Denise has affirmed what's in our heart.
all right, Denise, let's do it. We have a small business owner who is either their business is that they're a graffiti artist or they have a double life, which can be really fun in romance too,
Double
right?
life. Double life.
That works really well in romance. We have cues about that in this very expansion. So let's go at engines now here. Maggie, here are your options. Our small business owner, graffiti artist, wants to resist or indulge their growing attraction to something or someone, or wants to leave or return to their hometown for or with something or someone.
But they are resisting their attraction.
Okay. Do you want to see the sci-fi options?
What are the
or no?
other ones?
We're locked in.
Make a major research breakthrough, or the
on-
other one is
or was
want to upgrade the tech of.
Yeah.
For romance, the romance card is tugging at heartstrings.
Yep.
They want to resist, and I like the idea they want to resist.
Okay. The resistance.
That's an emotional conflict.
Yeah, I agree. And what I'm going to do here is go rogue on their format. I really want to create a story about it's focused on two people. So instead of drawing an anchor, I'm going to draw more agents to see who it is that they're trying to resist their growing attraction to. We can get anchors involved in other ways, and we'll show that in a minute here. Hey, we drew the favorite. So are they trying to indulge, resist or indulge? So they're trying to resist their growing attraction to a free spirit, a farmhand, a spouse, a next in line, a salvager, an asteroid miner, an arms dealer, or an engineer. And again, we can combine here. If there's two that you like and we want to throw them together, they could be a free spirit salvager or something.
They're definitely a free spirit.
Okay.
And I'm happy for what other kind of free. I've already got something forming in my mind. This is just really exciting. This is my favorite thing to do.
Asteroid miner sounds like so like intense. It's like on one hand, it's a very dangerous job, but because they're so free, they just like don't care. They just float from asteroid to asteroid. They're like unconnected, unburdened, untied to anything. Yeah. Which is why you're trying to resist the attraction to them, because they're like, you'll never settle down with me. You'll never stay with me.
So then I think let's put these four. We have a free spirit locked in. Let's put these four to the vote. I like asteroid miner. I also like salvager for the same exact same reasons you said. But let's go ahead and put it to a vote. Eric, can you count us down? These are the four options: salvager, asteroid miner, arms dealer, engineer.
3, 2, 1, go. A free spirited arms dealer raises all.
I like it though.
Yeah.
I can fix him.
I mean these are the kind of characters that like that is a very specific character trope though. Now we have an asteroid. We have an asteroid salvager.
I think engineer won.
No, salvager, did it?
No, I think engineer won.
Oh yeah, where did it start? Okay, it started here. This was the first vote, I think, of when we counted down. There was one that came in beforehand. So we got salvager, engineer. Yeah.
All right.
Free spirited
engineer. They just casually, it's like, oh, like this roughly goes in, like I can roughly, add this much amperage or wattage to my.
It's like this is like that Tony Stark school of engineering.
Yeah.
I've already got ideas in my mind.
Yeah, me too.
This is how it's done.
I got something.
This is how it's done.
Well, Maggie, what we'll do is you've got 6 minutes, I know, before you absolutely have to go. So we'll pick the last two cards with you, and then I want you to give us just the the 3-act structure summarized of the novel, or the 4-act structure I know that you like to work with really quickly. What are the main beats you'd hit? But here we go. Conflict. But they will have to hide it from prying eyes, but it will all get confusing once money is involved. But it will unite their enemies. Or, but it will cause a rift amongst their allies.
All those are pretty spicy.
I like the prying eyes. But I guess because for me, the graffiti artist is really leaning into what I'm thinking is very graffiti leaning. And so the idea that graffiti, you have to hide it from prying eyes because like I'm leaning into the art and the engineering of it. So I think I'm going to do prying eyes. Doesn't mean it's the best idea. Other people might have other ideas.
Yeah. Pitch again. You can let us know in the chat what you would have chosen and why. We'd be very curious to see what you would have gone with. And then lastly, we'll do agent aspect cards, and we can actually use both of these. We can just slap them anywhere you like. So, overbearing, romantic, personal, unappreciated. And again, we've got our small business owner, graffiti artist. We've got the attraction. We've got our free spirit engineer. We've got the whatever it is they're hiding. We've got the prying eyes. And we've also got dark, viral, telekinetic, and hovering. You can always discard this if you find that it doesn't have a place in what you're building.
Yeah, I'm going way too deep with this, but that's what I like. We're gonna have an unappreciated small business owner.
Okay.
And I'm wondering how and I like the word telekinetic, but I'm not quite sure how I'd use it in this.
A telekinetic engineer would be a telekinetic attraction. Oh, that would be interesting. If like literally, as they get more attracted, like they generate a gravitational field.
Yeah. I like telekinetic. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm putting that
They
under
have to
attraction.
resist their attraction.
Yeah.
It's a telekinetic attraction.
It's like literally, yeah. Okay,
telekinesis is like telekinesis involves can involve mind reading too, right?
Oh, that would be telepathy.
That's telepathic.
Telepathic.
Telekinetic is moving with your
It's
mind.
only moving with your mind.
Moving with
Okay,
your mind.
I was trying to. There's that moment when you realize you don't use a word often enough, and you're like, wait a minute, reminding myself of something. Dang it! I was gonna say if there was telepathic elements, like the closer you get together, the more you get involved into each other's thoughts, which you don't want to. It's like she or he or they are resisting because they don't want that vulnerability.
Yeah. Well, Maggie, you have got roughly 2 to 3 minutes left with us. Give us your 4-act structure. What are the main beats we're going to hit?
Oh, I don't know if I have a 4-act structure yet,
That's
but
fine,
I've got this idea.
Give us your
that
log
we
line.
have this small business owner who wants to be an artist, and he is geeky and he's unappreciated and he's not celebrated for his art, and he goes out at night and he's tagging buildings with these amazing, beautiful murals, which are ideas that come in his mind, and he keeps drawing this sexy shirtless man that he thinks has come from his imagination, and he gets obsessed with drawing this character, and he's feeling this strong depth to, and he doesn't realize that somehow his drawing of the sexy character on the building is opening this portal to the other world where the real life engineer is, because the engineer needs help with whatever amazing thing the shirtless free spirited engineer needs help with. And so he's like sending it out into the ether somehow, science fictionally. And the small business owner who's just doing his own thing, because I love playing with is it real or is it all in my head? Is there really the sexy free spirited engineer out there? Do my pictures really come alive and romance me? Is there really a man out there somewhere that appears like in portals in my bedroom? Or am I going crazy and it all in my mind? And so he doesn't know, but then you have the deeper conflict that the bad guys out there know that this thing is real and want to get a hold of the free-spirited engineer. And they know that the unappreciated graffiti artist,
the arms dealer needs an engineer. The arms dealer needs an engineer to help them build the weapon. Yeah.
Oh, it's almost like you're resisting the attraction because you want to protect the person, and that's so sad.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
But he's got this obsession with this character that he keeps drawing over and over and over again. Only in his case, he's drawing it over and over again on like big buildings. Maybe it's like one of these trance situations. And while he's drawing it, he like whisks away to another world in his mind where they're together. And then when he snaps to, there's this huge mural that shows this, I don't know, space thing.
Well, this goes back to Story Engine clearly needs to do some posters and to get a big blow-up image of our free spirit here. Maggie, thank you so much. The fact that you managed in like just a couple of minutes to pitch us just like a pitch perfect portal fantasy sci-fi romantasy. Incredible. Thank you. Book
I
41.
love this
Book
deck.
41.
I use this deck. I love this deck. I use this deck. I have used it for years, and it's a great resource. I just wanted, before I go, there was a comment that I loved that Kim posted about the "I let go of the breath that I didn't know I was holding" as a cliche. And I would say that I let go of the breath I didn't know I was holding is a terrible cliche. But if you have that idea in your head, then you can find a creative way to write around that and to say the same thing. And that it's not the idea that's bad or the idea that's cliche. It's coming up with a really creative, interesting way that you've never done it before. So if you have this idea, like it's Romeo and Juliet with space pirates, and you're like, oh, this is so cliche, then trust in your own ability to do something really creative with that idea. And I'm telling you that you guys are the tool I use when I need creative ideas. You get me unstuck.
Well, thank you so much. This was such an inspiring bit of collaboration here, both working on the expansion and also getting to debut it with you and do some story pitching. Congrats again on 40 books. Thanks for joining us. I know you've got to run on, so we appreciate your time.
I appreciate you, and thank you for you guys.
We'll catch you again later. The rest of us will stick around here a little longer with the chat. Bye, Maggie. Thanks again.
Yeah, we'll make sure we'll include a link to Maggie's website and information on where you can find all her various books. Either in we'll include in our newsletter. If you aren't signed up for our newsletter, you should definitely do so. If you're brand new to the Story Engine newsletter, you do get 10% off your first order when you subscribe to our newsletter. And it gets you on the VIP list for basically all, like, where you're first to know on everything. So we're going to include some maybe cool additional Q&A from Maggie afterwards too, hopefully, because I know we didn't get a chance to answer all the questions, but we'll also include a link to her website or any of the place where you can get any of her books as well. And I saw someone very kindly left in the comments earlier. Yes, if you enjoy our live streams, please like this live stream as well. If you haven't subscribed to the Story Engine YouTube, do so as well. It really does help us a lot, and it means so much to have your support. If you're part of the replay crowd, if you guys have ideas and questions and things that came up, you can always leave in the comments. Like, we do read all the comments. We try and take all of it to the best of our abilities and summarize it and answer questions for you as well.
It's like the chat usually disappears at some point when it gets transferred from like the live video to wherever it's like the final hosted version. So if there's something you really want to know, you can leave a comment there. We'll try to answer it there as well.
We have tried to capture as many of the questions as we can, though, and because I think that'll be really great for Maggie to answer some of that into a newsletter. So, Eric, I'm looking at you.
I captured as many of the content questions as I could.
I'm trying to looking at you.
I've got it on a running Google Doc over here.
Great. I think we had some other questions in the chat too, Peter, though, that I'm hoping we get a chance to answer before we wrap up here. And if you guys have questions for us that we haven't had a chance to answer yet, please maybe throw it back in the chat, just because it's hard for me to scroll up and down and move past all the engineers and graffiti artists and graffiti artists. Let us know. Yes, and there are socials too. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, YouTube, TikTok.
It is Story Engine Deck on pretty much all of them, I think.
Yeah, we're pretty easy to find.
At Story Engine Deck.
Yes. And if we completely miss it, a lot of that's on our website as well. So yeah, if you have any questions, throw them in. We'll get a chance to answer them. I like seeing this comment earlier thing, like using the dropship booster deck with this expansion to help me write Aliens fan fiction. Nice. I think that's great. I love seeing the genre mashups that people have already been throwing out throughout the entire conversation. Also, if you like this live stream and you want to learn about our last but not least expansion, join us at the same time next Friday at 2:30 Eastern time to learn all about our relationships expansion.
February 20th is the date.
February 20th. We're going to be right in the middle of Lunar New Year. So I'm super, just deciding, Peter's already teasing it. You can always set a timer. I know some folks who are joining us from Australia or Europe and other time zones, you go. We actually have the events in advance, so you can actually turn on notifications, and that way you'll get a ping at the correct time to join for the live stream. I think there's all of that's coming up. I know there's one thing I wonder, trying to decide whether I should share it because it's like the romance expansion. It's Friday the 13th. Lunar New Year is coming up, and one of the traditions for Lunar New Year is that we're supposed to give away things because they'll give us more luck. So I don't know if you can tell what I'm alluding to, Peter.
I actually can't, but I'm excited to find out.
I don't know either. I'm curious. I want to know.
You'll be the first to know, folks, and maybe you'll get this is my sneaky deaky way of having you make sure you tune into our last live stream. We may or may not give away the physical copies of our alphas at some point. So if you like the used and mildly abused alphas that Peter, Eric, and I use,
they have not been that abused
yet. That's not to say, well, maybe we're gonna drop ours in the snow tomorrow. You never know, Eric. But we print these alpha decks so that we get a chance to showcase them on the live stream. Gives us a chance to kind of see it in play. I think that's like really important for us as creators, and also a chance to prove everything even more hard copy wise, and just all the things that we need to do. But if you like those, maybe we'll give them away. You'll just have to find out.
And that'll be at 2:30 Eastern next Friday on our YouTube. So
yes.
and our Facebook, but most of the party's on YouTube, if we're being honest.
Yeah. It is on Facebook too. But yeah, hey, Maddie from Australia.
Maddie from Australia representing for Facebook. I appreciate that.
There's satellite. It's a satellite party.
Yeah. But yeah, for sure. So yeah, you definitely join us on that, and leave us, share all your stories. And again, like if you guys have cool ideas and you're okay with us sharing it on our socials or newsletter, leave in the comments, drop a note, because there's so many cool stories that you guys leave behind that I always wish I had an opportunity to just share it with the world. It give us a chance to brag about you all. That's what I'm trying to say. I want to brag about you all and all the cool stuff you guys come up with. Just don't drive over it. Oh my God, that's a blast that's a call from the past. We had a poor customer reach out to us. They bought all of Trilogy, and it was delivered on their driveway, and they just didn't see it, and then they just drove their car over it. And it's really sad. You could see like the visual, because I think they dragged it out into the road and then like drove away. And didn't realize, they actually somehow didn't feel it. And they didn't until they came back later and were like, what? And then they kind of realized, oh, I think I drove over my decks. So very sad story. If you order the decks, keep an eye on your courier and don't drive over them. It is very sad when we see it happen. Yes. Wow, that was very unromantic, guys. Let's end on a more romantic note.
That's a meet cute right there, hitting someone with your car. Forced proximity as you pay their hospital bills. That's a setup I don't think I've seen. I'm into it.
I was thinking of maybe you call up the courier and you're like, stupid, like silly courier man. How dare you deliver my stuff? Oh my God, you are so handsome.
Oh yeah. They see them for the first time mid-yell is also really good. I love that. That beat works so well in movies, especially. It's harder to do in fiction, but in movies where like, the first time they get a good look at their face.
Yeah. Or like maybe instead of a car, I don't know, the love interest's dog runs away and chews up the story engine in the box, and the fellow comes out of his house being like, "How dare you!" and then the love interest runs up and she's like, "I'm so sorry, Fluffy here just couldn't resist," and he's like, "Oh, don't even worry about it. These things happen, but you could repay me by going out for dinner with me."
Yeah. It's the old you get a date, but there's a little bit of coercion involved.
But we all know it's like consensual coercion, right?
Yeah.
I will say this was a fun expansion to work on.
Yeah, I learned so much, and not just about romance. I learned more about genre as a whole from working with Maggie, so that was fantastic. I'm just trying to see. I'm pretty sure we had a recommendation that the courier needs to be in the romance expansion. I'm pretty sure it's because it was already in the main deck that we didn't do it in the expansion.
I think we've definitely used that one somewhere, and I can't remember
main
where.
deck. is in the main deck, a courier. So
yeah.
we had to work around. We have a very extensive library of prompts now, and we don't repeat ourselves within a deck system, and we try to limit our repetitions across deck systems without actually hamstringing the value of the content. So it's a lot of work balancing the queues, but we appreciate that you were heading out for the courier. Don't worry, already covered.
Yeah, and someone mentioned like you would wish to see maybe all the things that we would cut show up in things. We actually have a couple of outtake expansions. They are PDF only. We haven't printed physical copies of them yet, but we have outtakes for Story Engine, Deck of
just Deck of Worlds,
Deck of Worlds. Yeah, Story Engine was so perfect; it required no outtakes. Deck of Worlds and Lore Masters deck, we have some outtakes that you can purchase. So if you like to kind of find what didn't make it off the cutting room floor, and I don't know what the future holds for some of these.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we'll do an outtakes expansion for
the expansion.
for the expansions. Like, there's definitely some things that, like some words and keywords that we use that I think might show up in other places. Because like some of the cuts were definitely, it's like what could really only go in the romance expansion. I think it was like one of the anchors is a meet cute in this deck, and there was another word that was competing with it that was similar, and it was like, well, the meet cute really only makes sense in the romance expansion.
Yeah, it was a chance meeting, which actually works really well for thrillers as well.
Yeah.
Where we're like, well, we still want to be able to pull in a different version of that trope in a way that's really essential to if we were ever to do a thriller booster, which I can't confirm or deny if we have plans for other future expansions or boosters, but let's just say that I always have a document going. And someone did ask, did they hear right? Is this the last thing that we develop? No, it is not. It is definitely not the last thing we're going to develop.
Have you met us?
But yeah, like that was an example where it was like, what's core to romance that really belongs in romance and like doesn't belong. So some of the cuts are like good words, but they also could be used somewhere else.
It's amazing. When you think you have so many words and so many prompts, you think there's a lot of opportunity, but like I said, you might have a 50,000 word novella, but it might be cut down from 100,000 words. There's always more words out there. There is the famous story where Peter and Eric argued for 2 hours over 2 words in Lore Master's deck, because that's just how much effort we put into ensuring that we create a really, really universal, cohesive, and great experience for all of you. So, it means arguing over 2 words for 2 hours.
which happens. We didn't have any arguments that long this time, but we definitely had some like return to the third time to talk about which of these 2 prompts is better, and they do similar things. And what are we leaving on the table if we leave one out? But really, really happy. We did the final. I'll just reveal that we've sent the expansions to sensitivity review as of today. That literally got emailed in like minutes before the live stream. So that'll be happening over the next week, and then it goes on to proofreading / alpha, and then it goes to the printer. So it's exciting. We're getting to the finish line. We've made those final choices, final with an asterisk, because if we get notes from sensitivity about how we can make the deck a better experience for more people, we're going to take those notes. But yeah, really, really excited. And again, thanks to everyone who's worked on this. It's been such an amazing team to get this out into the world. And I'm excited to showcase relationships next week, 2:30 Eastern here on YouTube. And in the meantime, if you have not already, you are welcome to pre-order the new expansions at storyenginedeck.com/new. You'll automatically be included in the alpha PDFs. So we'll send you alpha PDFs when those are ready, so that you can take a look before anybody else, and you'll have a chance to share your feedback. We'd love for you to participate. You get it for free if you pre-order the expansion set, which is all 3. That is not the case that we include it for free if you order individual expansions. We're just doing it as a set because we want to just do one delivery of the files. So those are kind of the terms.
You also get the best deal. You also get the best deal if you order as the set. So I think that's also, in hopefully a little bit of an incentive for you. But I hope everyone has the most sweet all the way to spicy romantic weekend, or whether, and love comes in many shape or forms. It can be with a spouse. It can be with your four-legged familiar, or fin familiar, or snaky scaled familiar. It can be with loved ones who are close to you, whether they are friends and family, chosen family, birth family, whatever say have you. Love comes in, or it can be for yourself. I believe self-care on during Valentine's Day weekend is the best kind of love you can give. Because you know, the words of RuPaul, if you can't love yourself, how the hell can you love somebody else?
That's a good note. That's a good note to wrap up the romance expansion demo. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. We're wisdom bomb from RuPaul. We'll catch y'all next week, 2:30 Eastern on YouTube. Thank you all for participating. Thank you for all your pitches, and we'll see you again soon. Bye,
Yes.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Till next time.